यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा माधव राधे जय पंचतत्व जय पंचतत्व पंचतत्व जय पंचतत्व जय नरसिंहदेव जय प्रहलाद महाराज नरसिंहदेव जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ जय बालदेवा जय सुभद्रा देवी जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद नित्य गौर हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्री श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस एसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय ब्रह्म मध्व गौड़ी आचार्य वृंद की जय प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय वृंदावन धाम की जय नवदीप धाम की जय मायापुर धाम की जय गंगा माई की जय यमुना माई की जय तुलसी देवी की जय भक्ति देवी की जय समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय और प्रेमानंद हरि हरि ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द assembled devotees all glories to the assembled devotees all glories to the assembled devotees all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga all glories to Srila Prabhupada Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, chapter 6, titled The Purusha Shukta Confirmed. Verse 38. Yasya karmani gayanti asmadadaya nayam vidanti tatvena tasmai bhagavate namaha. Yasya karmani gayanti asmadadaya nayam vidanti tatvena tasmai bhagavate namaha. Yasya karmani gayanti asmadadaya nayam vidanti tatvena tasmai bhagavate namaha. Vaishnavis. Yasya, whose avatara, incarnation, karmani, activities, gayanti, chant in glorification, he, indeed, asmad adaya, persons like me, na, do not, yam, whom, vidanti, no, tatvena, 100% as he is, tasmai, unto him, bhagavate, unto the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, namaha, respectful obeisances. Translation. Kindly repeat. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose incarnations and activities are chanted by whose incarnations and activities are chanted by us for glorification. Though he can hardly be fully known as he is. Purport. It is said that the transcendental name, form, quality, pastimes, paraphernalia, personality, etc. cannot possibly be perceived by the gross materialistic senses. But when the senses are purified by the process of hearing, chanting, remembering, and worshipping the lotus feet of the holy deity, etc., the Lord reveals himself proportionately to the advancement of the quality of devotional service. Ye yata mam prapadyante. One should not expect the Lord to be an order-supplying agent who must be present before us as soon as we desire to see him. We must be ready to undergo the prescribed devotional duties, following the path shown by the predecessors in the disciplic succession from Brahma, Narada, and similar authorities. As the senses are progressively purified by bona fide devotional service, the Lord reveals his identity according to the spiritual advancement of the devotee. But one who is not in the line of devotional service can hardly perceive him simply by calculations and philosophical speculations. Such a hard worker can present a big jugglery of words before an audience, but can never know the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his personal feature. The Lord has clearly stated in the Bhagavad Gita that one can know him only by devotional service. No one can know the Lord by any puffed up material process of challenge, but the humble devotee can please the Lord by his earnest devotional activities. Thus, the Lord reveals himself proportionately before the devotee. Lord Brahma therefore offers his respectful obeisances as a bona fide spiritual master and advises us to follow the process of Shravana and Kirtana. Simply by this process, or simply by hearing and chanting the glories of the activities of the Lord's incarnation, one can certainly see within himself the identity of the Lord. We have already discussed this subject in volume 1 of Srimad Bhagavatam in connection with this verse. Tad Shraddha Dhana Munayo Jnana Vairagya Yuktaya Pashyanti Atmani Cha Atmanam Bhaktya Shruta Grihitaya. The conclusion is that one cannot know the Supreme Personality of Godhead fully by any method, but he can be seen and felt partially by the devotional service process of hearing, chanting, etc. Translation again. Let us offer our respectful obeisance unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose incarnations and activities are chanted by us for glorification, though he can hardly be fully known as he is. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtabhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshtarine Vancha Kalpataro Vescha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, a quick review of how we reached this verse. So, this would be a long review. Basically, in end of first canto, Parikshit Maharaj is asking, as soon as Sukadeva Goswami appears in the scene, he is asking this question. What is the best action to do for someone who is about to leave his body? And Sukadeva Goswami then glorifies this question. You know that the next after this question is Canto 2. So in the first few verses, he glorifies the question, and then he tells what one should not do. You know, when you're going to leave the body or when you're living in this world, what you should not do is, you should not be a grihamedi. You know, you work whole day, whole night to maintain your family, and in the night you rest to get rid of your tiredness, or you enjoy sense gratification. Yeah, so this you should not do. And then he says what you should do. And what you should do is you should remember, you should hear, chant, and remember the glories of Lord Hari. So that is in five verses. The first 5 verses of the second canto, answer is given. What should one do when one is about to leave his body? Finish. You have to hear, chant, and remember the Lord, which is basically 3 of the 9 process of devotional service. So already question is asked, answer is given. So how does the rest of this canto develop? The rest of the canto develops by Sukadeva Goswami's sincere desire to contrast the devotional service with other processes, just to show the glory of devotional service. So we will see that, the example is given of a diamond jewelry. When you have a diamond necklace or something, and if you put it on, even on a gold plate, you won't see how brilliant it is. But if you would put it on a velvet cloth or on a black sheet, the effect of diamond pops up. You know, so in the same way, even though in 2 verses he has given answer for Sukadeva Goswami's question, what should one do? One should perform devotional service. Now he brings out the background. He will give the contrast. 2 verses for your answer. Now I will give you so many more verses to tell you what is the contrast. And the contrast is all the other processes. And they are all so elaborate and with very great uncertainty of obtaining any results. So he starts with the process of Ashtanga Yoga. That is the background. Bhakti is so easy to perform. Ashtanga Yoga is like totally difficult to perform. And he explains Ashtanga Yoga and what are the do's, what are the don'ts, and Yama, Niyama, Asana, all those 8 steps. And then when you are in Dharana stage, when you are in the level of meditation, then if you are materially very much inclined, you have not purified your material inclinations, those people generally go for meditation on the Virat Roop. And if you don't have material inclinations, then they can easily meditate on Paramatma. So like that, in the first chapter, Sukadeva Goswami presents the black backdrop of the very difficult process of Ashtanga Yoga, just to contrast the diamond jewelry of Bhakti Yoga. And after explaining this process, how if you have not so much material inclination, your path is going to be very easy. If you have too much of material inclinations, then your liberation is not going to come very fast. After explaining this, he will make the conclusion. He'll say in the second chapter, even Lord Brahma, who is the creator of this material universe, even he is accepting that the process of devotional service is the best process. Yeah, so in 2.1.5, Sukadeva Goswami gives that answer. What is that one should do? Srotavya, Krititavyascha, Smratatavya, hear, chant, remember. And then Lord Brahma also, he exactly same he says. Srotavya, Krititavya, Smritatavya, so exact, almost same verse Lord Brahma will also repeat. So Sukadeva Goswami, on the authority of Lord Brahma, establishes that this Ashtanga Yoga process is not the process, but as prescribed by the Creator himself, Bhakti is the best process. And of Bhakti, the beginning of Bhakti is hearing. hearing, Shravanam. So he glorifies the process of hearing, because Parikshit Maharaj is very fond of hearing. So he glorifies the process of hearing, and he explains how just by hearing process one can purify one's material contaminations and aspirations, and by end of one's life one can attain the supreme destination, which is the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. So when the sages of Naimisharanya hear this conclusion of Sukadeva Goswami, they all pitch in, they all say, yes, yes, hearing is the best process. We are all here to hear. So please tell us more. You know, a person who has no inclination to hear, his ears are like holes of the snakes, no, where the snakes are. His tongue is like that of frog. His heart is steel framed. His hands are like that. Legs are like tree bark, tree. You know, his hands are just ornamented, but like a dead body. You know, so they all glorify the process of hearing, and they say, yes, now we all want to hear. You tell us more. What else did they speak about? You know, and then the continuation of the discussion happens. Parikshit Maharaj also tells Sukadeva Goswami, yes, I want to hear. You know, you have glorified, you have said that by hearing all the material contaminations are gone, and after dying we'll attain the lotus feet of Krishna. Now please let me hear. And what do I want to hear? I want to hear the pastimes of Lord in two contexts. One context is how the Lord conducts his pastimes with the material energy, and how the Lord, external energy. And the second context, how the Lord conducts his pastimes with the internal potency. External potency and internal potency. Both the pastimes I want to hear, because all are nectar. So, how the Lord conducts his pastimes with the material energy is it is the topic of the Purushavataras and Gunavataras. You know, how material creation happens. There is Mahavishnu, and from his bodily pores, different seeds of universe are coming out. And then they are glanced by the Lord, and the Mahatattva is formed. And then Mahatattva, under a mode of ignorance, it becomes Ahankar. And then Ahankar, and reacting with each of the mode, gives different elements of material creation. And then these material elements are combined by Brahma to form different types of bodies of different entities. So the whole process of creation is explained. So chapter 4 basically is the glorification. Chapter 1 is the answer given to Parikshit Maharaj: do devotional service. You're going to die or you're going to live, do devotional service. And then chapter 1 and 2 present the contrast of this Ashtanga Yoga. And then in end of chapter 2, there is a clear explanation that bhakti is, you know, Lord Brahma, I am speaking on the authority of Lord Brahma, that bhakti is the best process. And a specific glorification is given about hearing process. And then after hearing the glories of hearing process, Parikshit Maharaj requests, I want to hear about the pastimes of the Lord with his internal and external energy. And then Sukadeva Goswami chants, one whole chapter 4 is all of, like Jaya Radha Madhava, all invocation prayers and all. And then from chapter 4 onwards, whole of chapter 5 is the creation is explained, which is basically the pastime of the Lord with the external energy. So the Purusha avatars are explained. And then end of chapter 5 is the conceptualization of the material creation. Like a summary view. If you don't understand how the elements are formed and how these elements are bound together by the Vibhrat Shakti of the Lord, and how 1,000 years they incubate, it is like you wait for 1,000 years. And then after that, the creation is started. If all of this is going there, no problem, because it is not a cup of tea for most of us. That's not something we enjoy hearing. But for me, more easy is to relish things that are similar, like a human being, so when these topics are coming, many of these things might have gone above people's head. Whoever was there alongside Parikshit Maharaj, Sukadeva Goswami, understanding the complexity of creation. The process itself is very beautiful. There is no contradiction, or there is no the confusion doesn't arise because there are contradiction. The confusion, it may be uninteresting because it is complex. So then he, from the end of 5th chapter onwards, he presents these different conceptualizations. If you can't understand this whole process of how these elements interact and how different planets are created and all this, then you can just see the Lord in play by seeing his different Virat Rupas. So the whole kind of conceptualization occurs there. He takes Varnashram, and then he puts Varnashram in the form of the Lord. And then he takes the planetary systems, and he puts the planetary systems in the forms of the Lord. And then he takes the different elements of the universe, and he puts those elements in the forms of the Lord. And that is chapter 6. This chapter is called as Purusha Shukta Confirmed. Basically this chapter gives how all the elements of the universe are present in the form of the Lord. His eyes are like sun, and the hearing capacity is Vedas, and each and every part of the body of the Lord is the element required for performing sacrifices, and how the Lord himself, he is the sacrifice, and his limbs become part of the sacrifice, and then the result is to please him. Like that, it is, this Purusha Shukta is from Rig Veda, and this exact sequence is also given in Rig Veda, the same explanation, how the form of the Lord is made of the different elements, and how this very form was self-sacrificed as a worship of him. Like, it is a pretty complex topic, and Srila Prabhupada names this chapter as Purusha Shukta Confirmed, because it is that part of Rig Veda that Sukadeva Goswami is narrating here as one of the conceptualizations of this material creation. And this different conceptualizations in the end of chapter 5 and whole of chapter 6 are given simply with the idea of making the concept of creation easily accessible to people who might find this topic otherwise going above their head. The whole process, which is difficult, is made simpler by this idea of Virat Rup. So many types, everything in material world is a form of Vishnu. Everything is, you can see Vishnu here. You see this world as Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, that is also Vishnu. You see this world as the 23 elements, that is also Vishnu. You see this world as urges of the Lord, that is also Vishnu. All of it, he helps the people understand this creation by conceptualizing it. So, and then this is all the Purusha Avatara. And then after this Purusha Avatara, he explains about the Guna Avataras. Purusha Avatara is basically talking about Karanodaka Sai Vishnu, the Mahavishnu, and then Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu and Shirodaka Sai Vishnu. And then Guna Avataras, Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. They deal with the 3 gunas and how they create, maintain and annihilate. So that after the Purusha Shukta, as a brief description of how these 3 lords, Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, they take care of the material. The Guna Avataras, he gives a good explanation of it. So Parikshit Maharaj's enquiry in 4th chapter was, can you tell us something about the pastimes of Lord in terms of external energy and the pastimes of the Lord with internal energy? So till 6th chapter, all the pastimes of the Lord with external energy are explained, which is the Purushavatara and Gunavataras. Creation of the material world and how the three lords, the three murtis are taking care of the material world. So now after that, they will start explaining the Leela Avatara, the different aspects of the pastimes of the Lord with internal energy. And that is where all different Leela, Kapila Muni will be there, Mohini Murti and Dattatreya, all the different Leela avatars of the Lord, pastime with the internal energy, those will be explained. So basically this chapter answers, this chapter is end of the first question, explain about the external energy dealings, pastimes of the Lord with the external energy. So, and then this verse, after explaining the different Gunavataras, in this particular verse, Lord Brahma is glorifying the Lord. He's saying, let us offer our respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose incarnations and activities are chanted by us for glorification. We glorify him, but in reality, he can hardly be fully known as he is. So Srila Prabhupada takes that line. The Lord cannot be fully known as he is. So how do we then know the Lord when Brahma is giving a statement like that? He has directly heard Chatushloki Bhagavatam from Krishna, directly heard about Krishna from Krishna. And if he is going to say, it is very, very difficult to know. So what is the scope for us? So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, how do we know God then? We know God to the level we surrender. More we are surrendered, greater we will have an understanding of the God, of the Lord. And then Srila Prabhupada says, you have to refer to this verse 1.2.12. He says, I have given detailed explanation about different types of approaches and how God accordingly reveals in 1.2.12. So I looked up in that verse, and actually Prabhupada gives a very detailed explanation of who approaches Lord in which way and how the Lord accordingly reciprocates. So there are people who don't believe in God, so God comes to them as death. Ultimately you will see God. If you don't see him in anything else, you will see him definitely as death. And then there are people who want some material things from God, so they may worship Krishna for material things, or they may surrender to demigods, and then Krishna reciprocates by giving them only that material things. And somebody may be a yogi and he may be doing meditation, and if he desires to merge in Brahman, Krishna allows them to merge in Brahman. What you want, accordingly you get reciprocation. Then you are meditating on Paramatma, you may get siddhis. All of these people have no access to Lord. No, you don't believe in God, or you only want God for material desires, or you want to meditate on the impersonal form, or you want to only accept God in Paramatma form. Only that much God will be revealed to you. But the minute you step into the platform of devotion, then there is three. From the platform of devotion, you get God in his form as Bhagavan. But there also classification is there. Even in Nectar of Devotion, Rupa Goswami also gives this classification. 3, third class devotee, second class, first class devotee. So third class devotee, he has a great understanding, a great love for Krishna. You will worship deities so beautifully, put garland, put flower decoration, everything, nice cooking, all that will be there. But the minute he comes out of Krishna's altar and he has to look at devotees and deal with them, there he will be wobbly. So that is Kanishta Bhakta, third level Bhakta. And Krishna says, one who knows how to deal with my devotees, he is in a higher level. Not just the one. Kanishta means a low level devotee has devotion for me. But somebody who is higher has devotion for my devotees. So he is Madhyama Bhakta. So he knows, he has a lot of love for Krishna and he has a lot of respect for devotees. He knows to deal with devotees so nicely. And when he sees people who are not devotees, he sees, oh, are they favorable? Are they inclined? Yes, they are inclined. Okay, let me preach to them. And are they not favorable, or are they envious? Are they like against Krishna conscious? I will avoid them. So there's he has these 4 things going on. He has intense love for the Lord. He respects and associates with his devotees nicely. He knows how to deal with devotees nicely. And when he sees innocent people, he will preach to them. When he sees envious people, he will go away from them. So that's the second class devotee. And then first class devotee, Uttama Bhakta. Madhyama is second class. Uttama Bhakta, first class devotee. And for him, the realization of God is maximum. That is, he is the one who sees Krishna in every step. He sees everybody in relation to Krishna. For him, everybody is a devotee. He does not think anybody is unqualified. If at all somebody is not qualified, it's me. And we can see that in Srila Prabhupada. Somebody brings a tissue paper, toilet paper, and he says, oh, he is serving Krishna. He can see that. Nobody will go amidst a bunch of drug addicts if they did not see the potency in those people to be devotees. So Srila Prabhupada is Uttama Bhakta because he was able to see that everybody is a devotee. Any hippie, anybody who comes, he will say, oh, you are all sent by my spiritual master to spread the mission of Lord Chaitanya. He saw everyone as somebody who is a servant of Krishna. And if at all somebody was not qualified, it is themselves. That is the Uttama Bhakta. And Srila Prabhupada says, if we want to be a good devotee, we should move from this Kanishta Bhakta level at least to the Madhyama level. And that is when we get a proper standard of Krishna consciousness. And this is a checklist for us. When we are practicing our Krishna consciousness, how much of Krishna are we realizing? How much of the Lord's association are we getting? We can simply understand by seeing where are we in our dealings with devotees. If you are not nice to me, you are not nice. If that is the mentality, 100% we are Kanishta. Yeah? If there is one devotee, I am having some conflict with that devotee, then what do I do next? I'll go to my neighbor. You know what? That Mataji is so mean. Yeah? You are not nice to me, that means you are not nice. You don't brand them as not nice. If you want to be in the Madhyama platform, you should say, oh, I don't have a good relationship with you, but you are a devotee. You may not be nice to me, but you are nice because you are also trying to serve Krishna. We may have some issues, we may have to do some conflict resolution, but that does not mean that you are not trying to serve Krishna. And when we approach a devotee with that mentality, then we will be able to see what good they are doing, and we will be able to accept and glorify that good service they are doing. And then how will that devotee reciprocate? He is not holding grudge. I am not also holding grudge. So the relationship automatically, the conflict automatically resolves. So for us to perform devotional service very nicely, we need to rise to the level of a Madhyama Bhakta, where we can appreciate devotees, not just the Lord. Not just, I can cook nicely. When people come newly in Krishna conscious, many times, they're professional cooks or professional dressmakers or professional jewelry makers or whatever, So then they come and they do all these different stunts. And then they'll say, oh, this Mataji, she's doing Radha Mother service for 25 years. That cut in the chadar, that's not very professional. What? Madhava is wearing it. Who are you to judge? The minute you think a devotee is not good, immediately you go down to the Kanishta platform. And you cannot sustain devotional service if you remain only in the Kanishta platform. Devotional service cannot be maintained. We need to constantly struggle to always maintain ourselves in Madhyama platform. That is how bhakti will flourish. Because when you are new in Krishna conscious and when you are saying things like that, the garland flower combination not nice, Krishna will like, oh yeah, you're new. The minute you understand who my devotees are, you will see how beautiful it is. Sabari will bite and give me. For me, that is most tasty. Andal will wear the garland and she will give me with her hair. And that is most beautiful offering. But now you don't know the glories of the hair of my devotee, the uchita of my devotee. So I'm giving you some time. But if we continue in that platform, we will be kicked out. Krishna will not allow us to sustain offensive attitude towards devotee and maintain devotional service at the same time. So Brahma is telling he can hardly be fully known as he is. And Prabhupada is saying, you want to know fully who is Krishna, go for all these lower levels should be given up. First, atheism. Second, asking for material benediction. Third, impersonalism. Fourth, meditation for attaining siddhi. All out. Only these 3 levels, you will have access to God. In these 3 levels, Kanishta out. Act on Madhyama or Uttama platform. Of course, we cannot act on Uttama platform. That is a natural state of devotional life, that is obtained by maturity in our devotion. We cannot pretend to be. But on Madhyama platform, we should constantly try to act. So those are some of the guidelines Srila Prabhupada gives, so that we can, more we act on the higher platforms, greater will be our realization of God. And once we understand that, then we don't have to go through this whole idea of the 23 material elements interacting with each other and incubating for 1,000 years. These things they will mean nothing. But he presented those ideas because there are classes of people who are interested. When Parikshit was hearing, he heard with the heart of pure devotional service. Sukadeva Goswami was presenting with the heart of pure devotional service. But he is a great preacher. So he knew if I presented all these other philosophical things, the Gyanis, they will all be attracted. And once they get attracted to what I'm saying, then I will do bingo, This is all this is not it. What is it? Is devotional service, So then Brahma makes the conclusion. We glorify the Lord, and how much we realize Him is depending on how much we surrender to Him. So like that, I quickly present a summary of what we discussed today. So we discussed starting with Parikshit Maharaj's question on what one should do when he is dying. And Sukadeva Goswami explains you should perform devotional service, and he contrasts it, diamond on a black cloth. He contrasts it by showing other processes which are very difficult. And he takes up Ashtanga Yoga and he explains that. And then he concludes by saying, Lord Brahma himself says, Bhakti is the best process. And of Bhakti, hearing is the first one and very glorified. And then after hearing the glories of hearing, Parikshit Maharaj requests to hear the Lord's pastime with regards to external energy and internal energy. And external energy pastimes are all the Purusha avatars and Guna avatars. So then the next chapters all the way leading till this verse are just simply description of the Purusha avatara and Guna avatara. And after that description, Brahma, when Parikshit Maharaj asked this question, Sukadeva Goswami will say, I will tell you the Lord's dealing, Lord's pastime with the external energy as I heard from Brahma when he was talking to Narada Muni. So very bona fide conversation. So creation is not saying, in my opinion, the creation happened. No, in my opinion. Brahma was telling this to Narada, and Narada told it to my father, and I heard it from my father, 100% bona fide, this is how it is. Most of the time we will see that happening. Sukadeva Goswami says, I heard this conversation between Vidura and Maitreya. Next it will come, next chapters. Everything will be bona fide, not speculative. So he will explain the process of Purusha avatars, Guna avatars, and he'll glorify them. And we stop here in the verse where the glorification of these different incarnations are there. And in this verse, Prabhupada particularly explains how to access the Lord. more we are towards pure devotional service, higher the access is. And lesser our material desires are, greater is the access to the Supreme Lord. So, Prabhupada explains, at least in Madhyama level we should be there. Madhyama level means appreciate devotees. Reduce our propensity to see wrong in devotees. Appreciate, love Krishna, appreciate devotees, and take care of the innocent people and preach to them, and avoid envious people. At least on that level we should be there. So these are some of the points we covered in today's class. Thank you. Any comments or questions? Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji, for your class. Mataji, the last 2 lines of the purport, the conclusion is that one cannot know the Supreme Personality of the Godhead fully by any method, but he can be seen and felt partially by the devotional service process of hearing and chanting. So here it is mentioned partially, he can be seen and felt partially, but you want to know fully. So why is that disconnect?
He can be seen and felt partially by devotional service. So two ideas, no? Partially in the sense how much we do purely devotional service, that much Lord is visible. No? Lesser the purity of our service, more there is a jnana karma mixture, lesser will be that. So that is one side. Partial realization, because purity is partial. That is one way of seeing. Another way of seeing is partial because the second part of revealing oneself, of Krishna wanting to reveal, is his free will. You may do 100% devotional service, but you should accept what Krishna decides. You know, that is ultimate pure devotional service. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was doing Mahaprakash Leela, then Mukunda will be sent for 1 million births or something. You're not getting my darshan. And then he accepted, very happy. Wow, I have a guarantee, 1 million births only. We all don't have guarantee. So he felt, yes, 1 million birth after I am going to have darshan of Lord. You know? So when Lord chooses not to give you darshan, that is his free will. That should also be. You know, just because we are doing devotional service does not mean Krishna is obliged to. Of course, Krishna tells the gopis, I am so obliged. You know, you are doing so much pure devotional service. What can I give you? You have given your name, family, reputation, everything. So how can I reciprocate? What can I? You gave up your husband and all. You gave up your reputation as chaste ladies. You know, Krishna cannot match gopis. What reputation is he going to lose? You know, he's God. He cannot lose anything. So what they are losing to get Krishna, Krishna can never match. So Krishna says, only thing I can tell you is be happy with whatever you're doing. Satisfied with what you have got, because I cannot match your devotion, you know. So of course Krishna will reciprocate. You know, there's no doubt that Krishna will not reveal. But that element is existing. We may do devotional service. You may see me, you may not see me. I don't mind, but I want to be your devotee. So that partial, the two prongs are there. No? One is our purity will not give, lesser the purity, lesser the access to Lord. That is one aspect. Another aspect, it may be even pure devotional service, but he may just disappear from rasa dance. It's his free will, no? So there you can't see him again. No? So both aspects are to be considered. So if somebody else has something to, it's open. Anybody wants to comment on that question, most welcome to add anything you like. Yes, yes, Prabhu.
Mataji, one more point on that is that like purity depends on, first aspect is the anartha nivritti, and it takes longer time to overcome that. So do you please tell something on that, Mataji?
We don't, bhakti is not result oriented, no? We simply do devotional service. All the other things are automatically happening. Every step, Pankajangiri Prabhu was telling in one class, Krishna consciousness is not choosing Krishna one time in life. Krishna consciousness in each and every step of our life, we should choose to behave like devotee, to be in Krishna conscious, to be in Krishna conscious. So that is all we should do. And anartha nivriti and developing attachment and developing bhava and all of that, it's automatically happening. You know, our process, our idea should be, let me work. Our idea should not be like, now I have to work on removing my anarthas. Of course, we should be conscious. You know, like for example, I'm dealing with my children or my husband, I'm shouting. If I know this is wrong, I should make a conscious effort not to do it. But what is the priority is I should do service. I'm not focusing on how I should remove my anartha, but I am focusing on how I should do pure devotional service. I don't want to have any results for my service except that it pleases the Lord. You know, I do this service so that I will get some money, I will get a good wife, I will get good education, I will get some material opulence, name, fame. No, as long as it's pure devotional service. Nothing else except the desire to please Krishna. As long as we do it, the progress is automatic. We don't have to sit and analyze like, oh, is some anartha going today? No, we don't have to do that. It will automatically happen. It is like when you eat, your hunger is going away. No, there is no separate meter required. You know, oh, okay, now I took 2 chapatis, is hunger there, you know, no need to, am I nourished? No, automatically all those things happen. There is no need to check on other aspects. Yeah? It will, anartha nivriti and attachment to the Lord and everything will automatically rise. But only consciously do service without asking anything in return. Only thing we can ask in return is more service. Nothing else we can ask, you know. So as long as we do it, it will everything will automatically come. Is that okay?
Hare Krishna. Mataji, thank you for this wonderful class. You said that we have to act on the Madhyama platform. We have to rise. So what if there is someone who is Kanishta? He has faith in the deities and the Lord, but he is envious of devotees. So we are acting on the Madhyam platform and we see that he is envious. So we'll avoid him. We'll avoid his association. Then what is the hope of that person who is envious? How will he advance? He has come to Krishna consciousness. He is practicing some things, but he is envious of devotees. Then how can we approach him? Like, we are all trying to be Madhyam, no?
The minute I see somebody who is worshipping the Lord as envious, something is wrong with me. No, he is not on Kanishta platform. I am in Kanishta platform. Is that not true?
That devotee is dealing in an envious way with other devotees and he is creating a lot of troubles, like you can see in his dealings.
There are standard ways of dealing, you know, like if there is someone who is causing obstacle to our devotional service, then we have our authorities to whom we can speak to and explain. But it is dangerous to tag. Devotees should not be tagged envious, unqualified, and all. These are all super danger for us. Yeah, they will go, you know, if somebody is simply scrubbing a pot of arati plate, making so much he is scrubbing, he makes a hole, and that through that hole he will go to Krishna. Yeah, so we will never know, he can't give Bhagavatam class, or all these tags very consciously we should take out, because we don't know what is going on in his head. What appears to be envy to us maybe is something he is trying to express himself in some way, you know. He may need some guidance, but he may need some counseling. I may need some guidance because I need guidance because I see him as envious. You know, so we have to approach authorities and we have to say, I am falling down to Kanishta platform because I am actually thinking bad about a devotee. These are my perceptions. I feel like he is envious. I feel like he is harming other devotees. How do I understand it correctly? What do I do? How do I rectify my dealings with him? You know, and the mood is, I want to build, I want to bridge the gap. It's not judge, but bridge. Yeah, I'm going to my authorities not to complain so that he can be judged, but I'm going to my authorities so that I can understand what is right thing to do, so I may bridge the gap between me and the devotee and have a harmonious service relationship, you know. And that will produce definitely positive result. The minute we put in our head he is envious, we are going to treat him in some odd way. You know, you see some snake going somewhere, you know, we cannot say like it's the creation of Krishna and all, no? We avoid only, no? So we should not have that towards devotee. Something is wrong there. Yeah? First we will counsel ourselves, and then needed, probably they will also get counsel. I hope it's okay, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
I was just thinking that in terms of the pastimes of the Lord, in terms of creation, in the history of our movement, sometimes devotees have tried to focus only on the gopis, the pastime of Krishna with the gopis. You may be aware of it, that how the Gopi Bhava club in Prabhupada disbanded it. I'm just sharing a reflection. So, I mean, Prabhupada in a lecture explains, several lectures actually, explains that how there is nothing called material actually for a pure devotee of the Lord. Everything is spiritual. Of course, that does not mean that they don't see that the external energy is not conscious. They know that it's not conscious. But in terms of their vision, everything is spiritual.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. We will officially close the, we are supposed to wind up by 9, so officially it's closed. So if somebody wants to stay behind and talk, I'm here. Sorry.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Yeah, like.
Thank you. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada.